Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Light Council series. I am so excited to have my guest here, Amanda Roa. She's a good friend of mine, and we follow each other on social media, and I've been on her podcast as well. And I just wanted to bring her on to share her work, what she's doing in the world, and hopefully give you guys some takeaways to walk away with to allow yourself to coming back, in her theme, her business, back to the heart. So a welcome, Amanda.
Thank you so much. I am truly honored to be here, and I feel this is one more confirmation of me leveling myself up, that I'm in the algorithm of you and other mentors I keep seeing, and then be able to share this message. So anybody that's listening today, we're all leveling up together. So feel good in that energy and that algorithm of where we are.
Oh, I
So
love that.
yeah. Um, so I'm super excited. Yeah, my journey has been pretty incredible. I was just thinking that in 2018, 2019, lots of things were crashing in my life. And, a relationship was falling apart, my health was going down. I was really stressed with my corporate job. I was at the best place of my career, making the most money,
Mhm.
living this supposedly perfect, checking all the boxes life. But my body inside was crumbling. I had severe level stage 4 endometriosis, and it
Mm.
was causing me excruciating pain and multiple surgeries, and all of that combined with the stress and just normal evolution of life, relationship falling apart. I got to some places
Yeah.
really dark places, and was able to realize that I was talking to myself in the way and the energy and all that I was attracting myself. And whenever I started getting into the words that I was speaking to myself, that's when it really started the transformation for me. I went through a lot of different modalities with plant medicines, and breath works, but the words was really what turned that final step for me to get to this place to where I really love my life. I get to be in, communities with people like you, and get to share this message and get to inspire others, and show them that we can all do this. All of us have the power to make these choices to transform our lives.
I love that so much. And I love right off the bat that you shared and jumped into your journey of how you got here, right? And with that, I would love, in talking about your message, I would love you to share a little bit more about, what is your core message? What do you feel called most with sharing with the world in your work? And how do you help others in this world?
For me, it's helping people recognize that the the love that we're all seeking is already inside of us. And the
Hmm.
way that I've been able to transform that and see that for myself, and to be able to see that as a mirror and reflecting to me, whether it's in my partnership, whether it's in my other friendship, relationships, my purpose, my journey, everything reflecting this love choice, is because I looked within and started changing the words and the language that I was speaking to myself. So that's what I want to share with other people, because I see the struggle that I went through, and now I see that it doesn't have to be that way. And I relied upon a lot of different resources that were there along the way. So I know that there's a lot of people out there looking to get back to their hearts and to find their purpose or learn to love their lives. And all the experiences that I have, I've always wanted to be a teacher since I was a little kid. I wanted to be like my mom and to be a teacher. So I just I wasn't vibing with the kids. I didn't know I was going to be helping teach adults, but here I
Mm,
am, getting to teach based on my experience. And I have this really cool method that I've been trained on with the mindset and regulating the nervous system and the breath to release the trapped trauma stories, just
yeah.
like I did. And then rewriting the new story of who I want to be. I am who I want to be. So it's really fulfilling to get to that space and to be able to have the tools and the resources and background. I lived a whole life of sales. I know how to help people solve their business problems. So now I have a tool to help them help themselves in their own personal and spiritual and could be business any problems,
Mhm.
because this method works for everything. That's what's
Mm.
so exciting about it.
Yeah, I love that too. And it's so interesting how there are so many different methods, modalities, whatever you want to call it, but they're always kind of like intertwined, right? Like they always kind of have the same thing. Like, does your method or modality have a name?
It's called the Enlifted method.
Right. Okay, great. So the enlifted method, right?
Yep.
Like and I have different modalities. Like I use silent counseling, which is a somatic method that is in with breath work and also acupressure that releases the stored trauma, right? And the stored emotions in our body, the limiting beliefs. Also, when I use Kundalini yoga, right? It's the same thing, breath work and movement, and that helps release stored trauma, stored
Yes.
emotions, and activating. And those all of these things can help in all areas of life, in business, in personal life, in love, and past all the things, right? So there's so many different things out there, and it's so wonderful when you find the tools that really resonate with you and have you've experienced yourself and changed your life, right? So my question, I guess, would be what would you recommend to someone that is they know that they want to change, they know they want to transform, they know that there's something better, like life can be better than they're currently living. How would you recommend them, or what would you say to them to like get started, and like know with all these options out there, right? Like how would they pick the one that they just to start anywhere? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it is beautiful that there are so many options out there. And to be honest, it may be more than one,
Yeah.
way. And that's the beauty of it is we live in a space where, people are constantly having these free workshops and free things for people to dip their toe in to try something and see what works. Because, you know, like you said, for me, it's been all about the words. And as I have been reflecting and thinking, like, what is it about the words that's so important? And I was always one that I loved spelling.
Mhm.
I was like, I could always I could spell anything. That was like my brother won all the spelling bees. I wanted to do all the things. Excuse me. But it was all about the words. And that's just what rung true for me and worked for me. So if anyone's exploring and wanted to see what this is all about, I would say take one day and notice how many words, how many times you say the words don't, can't,
Mhm.
won't, any word, we call it a negation. I've got a list of those words on my wall that I reflect to all the time. Don't, won't, isn't, wouldn't, shouldn't, not, can't, couldn't, hasn't, haven't, wasn't. Start noticing the words that you're saying in your head
Mhm.
to yourself, what you're speaking to others
Mhm.
around you, what you're speaking to your partner, what you're speaking to your children.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
when you start to notice that a lot of the words are these negations, you can think about what is it that I do want? Because when we start to focus on these negatives, and sometimes people will say, like, I've got a workshop coming up at the end of this month, and The theme of it is like, how many times have you heard somebody say, I just don't want to get hurt again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But when it
So
comes to relationships, for sure.
when you break down that sentence and you say that, what do you feel when you hear, I just don't want to get hurt again? What do you notice? Like, what do you notice in your body?
Yeah, for me, I mean, it just sounds like closed off, right? Like I'm just closing myself off because I can't bear to deal with that hurt that I may have experienced again, right? And
Right.
fear, and there's fear.
And there's fear. And what happens is it's like whenever you're driving a car, if you look towards off the edge of the road, you're going to go that way. The things that you look towards, that's what you're going to be
Hmm.
guided towards. And
Yeah.
if your focus is, I just don't want to get hurt again, well, what is it that you do want? Because whenever we say these words or we feel these energies in our bodies of, I don't want to get hurt again, you're focusing on what? Hurt again. So what
Hmm.
is it that you do actually want?
Hmm.
I want to feel love. I want to experience joy.
Yeah. That's like anything with manifestation, right? It's whatever you're focusing on, good or bad, it's what's going to end up manifesting because the universe doesn't know the difference between what you want and what you actually want, right? Or what you don't want, right? It just the universe hears what you're saying and what you're focusing on, and that's the vibration you end up in, and that's what you end up attracting. It's the same thing with like, we'll talk about money, right? Like debt, and you're just like, I just want to pay off my debt. I want to pay off my debt. I want to pay off my debt, right? And you keep just saying that over and over again. Then you're just focusing on the debt. Instead, it's like, okay, well, what would you love, right? Yes, we would love to pay off that, right? Of course, we would not love to have debt. But if we could take it and put it into a way that actually releases that fear, releases that shame, that guilt, right? I would love to bring in, I would love to be in financial freedom, right? Like that's the alternative. So exactly with the same thing with love, right? It's like, what is that alternative? I would love to feel loved and love in return fully expressed, right? That would, just an example I'm pulling up off of my head. But yeah, I love that so much where you're really paying it. Your words are so powerful. Like the language is like the most important thing, right? The I am statement. We hear that all the time. But for people, where they've tried the statements, they've tried the affirmations, maybe is there another way that's the deeper level that there's a missing piece, right? And I think that's kind of where the breath work comes in because we're actually tapping into the body and the emotion, correct?
Yes. So the stories that we are telling ourselves that are, yes, oftentimes full of negations are going really fast and they're oftentimes fragmented in our minds. And whenever we go through this process that I teach, this Enlifted method, the 4-step process, it slows down the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you write out the story. And whenever you write out this story and go through the step of adding in the breath and slow down the pace, it is a somatic release every single time. It is mind blowing. I've seen thousands of these now at this point during all the training and everything. So it's like incredible to see that it works like that every single time for people to release these trapped stories. And then it works in the amplification on the other end for for celebrating wins and amplifying it, because what happens is the big scary stories are really loud and up close, and the good, positive, inspirational stories are really small and far away. So this process with adding the breath and going through the process really helps you release all the tension
Yeah.
from the icky stories, release that from your body, and then have the capacity to fully embrace and embody the joy stories. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just incredible. Like, I mean, everything I write out and manifest now, it's that's why it's called spelling, because we
Yeah.
are casting spells with these
Mm-hmm.
spells I create. And Our words are so powerful. And that's
Yeah.
why the big change for me too, before I even started this coaching program, was just specifically in how I was using my name. So I
Mm,
know a lot of times people, maybe they go by a nickname or a short name, but if their full name is said, that reminds them when they're a kid and they got in trouble or whatever it is. That was really a big turning point for me last November, whenever I first started this process, was how I was speaking to Amanda. I hated my name my whole life because I was like, that was so stupid, Amanda. Why did you do that,
mm,
Amanda? That was the only time I said it in my head,
mm.
was in disappointment, frustration, anger, whatever. And then I was like, wow, I'm really doing this. And then whenever I started speaking love into Amanda and using my name with words of love, it changed everything.
I think that's a really powerful, statement and a powerful tip is just even being aware of how we're talking to ourselves, right? It's not even about the things we're talking about and focusing on, but also how we're talking to ourselves. I was just listening to a book today, and it's called We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers. And in the chapter, she was saying how she would catch herself talking so badly about herself. And anytime, her kids would, grab her thighs or whatever, and she would, oh my gosh, why don't you just go lose weight? You're so whatever. Like really just being down on herself and becoming aware of that. And I've had mentors that do that too, right? Where they used to shame themselves all the time. And even like the little things when you're joking, right? Like, oh, I'm so stupid, right? Like, I can't believe you did that.
Yes.
I'm so stupid. So then you're just reaffirming in your subconscious mind that you're stupid. And then you start to lack the confidence to be able to do big, beautiful things, right? Because you don't feel like you're smart enough to do the thing that you've been wanting to do, if it's start a business or take the course or whatever it is, right? So it is really becoming awareness is so important of how you're talking to yourself, how you are judging yourself, right? And how can we flip that? So I think that's such another important like tool, right? Is when you catch yourself, you can forgive yourself. Just even say like, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. I'm sorry, Amanda, for being harsh or being unkind. That's not true. That is not a true fact. What is true is that you are beautiful or you are smart, you are capable, and you are, and it's almost like you're talking to that inner child. You're talking to that ego self so that it actually can, your subconscious mind will get on board, right?
Yeah, because it's like those are things that I would say to you.
Yeah,
So why would I say those things to me?
right. Exactly.
And then it's like if we're not loving ourselves to the greatest extent possible, why would someone else want to love us that
Mm-hmm.
way? And
Yes.
how can we have the capacity to love someone else if we don't know how to do that for ourselves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's so powerful. And they always say, like, you have to love yourself before you can love or anyone else can love you the way that is deeply, fully expressed, right? So I think that's so powerful. And yes, you can work through things while in a relationship, but how beautiful would it be to come from a place of truly empowered and truly confident and truly loving yourself so that you can love the other person truly for who they are in their wholeness, right? Without judgment. That builds a really strong foundation, I believe.
Absolutely. And, my partner and I, we started going through this healing journey together, like within the first 6 months of us on our relationship. And it was really powerful to be able to take ownership of our own selves, our own actions, create our own love for ourselves, to be able to hold space for each other whenever we were reflecting different moments and different activation points, that maybe he's going through something that I've already been through before, so I'm able to hold a different kind of space and compassion whenever I love myself and can have forgiven myself for that behavior that I used to have because of my thing, and now he's experiencing it. So I can be there for him and help see that and mirror that back with him, and vice versa, for me to learn so much from him. He's when you're in a partner relationship, it's like you have someone else to help you learn and grow from. And whether it
Yeah.
feels like it's in a good place or a not so good place, there's something there with the mirrors, the relationships around us, for us to have an opportunity to feel victim to it or
Mm-hmm.
to learn from it and create our best reality with it.
Yeah, I love that. So talk to me a little bit about like where the type of people you work with. Like, do you work with people who are wanting to improve their relationships or just their self-love or, find their dream partner, dream relationship? Talk to me a little bit about like who's your ideal person that you know and love to serve.
Well, so I'm hosting the event on October 29th will be my live workshop, where we're going to be going through that exercise of I just don't want to get hurt again, and going through this 4-step process live with people to get a better understanding of what is it that is blocking you from receiving that love. And it really could be any of the above, because
Mhm.
whether it is you that you're single and you're wanting to just have a better relationship with yourself, or you are looking for love at some point with a partner, or you're in a relationship but you want it to be better.
Mhm.
It's for that, and looking and finding a way of what is blocking you from receiving that love. And
Mhm.
when we get back to our hearts and we can heal that within ourselves, then if you want to better your relationship with your existing partner, that will flow too. If you want
Mhm.
to find a new partner, that flows too. If you want to just enjoy being you, then this helps for you too. So it's really cool because it works for anybody,
Mhm.
and I've uh I've I'm so excited about it. So anybody that is looking in any of those areas, it kind of covers a lot of a lot of people.
Yeah, no, for sure, because it's really important to you can be in a relationship like I've been married for 15 years, right? And there's definitely could be, some hurt from past arguments or whatever that your subconscious kind of always remembers, right? Even if you've forgiven and moved on, there's still that stuff that you continue to bring up from the past, right? Like, well, you did this and that could have been like 2 years ago or whatever, right? So I think that's so important to kind of really let that go, the release. And it sounds like the method and the modality that you use really helps with that. So how long does your method or modality take? Like if you had to like is it a 5-minute thing that you can do daily, or is it something that you do once and then you're good?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So whenever I'm working with people, we, typically set up about 6 sessions. The first maybe three or four sessions, we're really digging in and helping people get unstuck and getting out the icky stories. And those are typically about 90 minutes that we spend together for
Hmm.
that. And then after that, you're turning the page to celebrating the wins and manifesting your goals and going through that. And by the time you are starting to get to that, your understanding of how to use this tool is it's really good. It's really good. And it's powerful because you can use it for anything, and like we're using it on the regular now. So like for me, for example, the beauty of it, especially in relationship, even a great relationship, is there are going to be things like I had an experience with a friend, and my expectations were something, and it brought up something from me. Well,
Yeah.
what happens whenever that comes up for me is now my partner, who's the closest person in proximity to me, he receives my negative energy, right?
Hmm.
Unintentionally, because he's there, right? So what I've been able to do is to identify, okay, I can write out this story that just happened, and you write out in full sentences and then you speak it out. The step number one is you title it, you write it out. The step number two, you read it out loud. Step number three, you read it at 70% speed. And step four, you read it at 70% speed and add the deep breath in between each one. And what I've been able to do just with this is to write that down, just this simple moment, and be able to completely let that flow through me and not absorb me and occupy, my energy and affect the rest of my day, affect my relationship with my husband, with my kids, whatever it is. Like, I'm able to get through in that moment. And that took me, maybe I sit down for 15 minutes and write out the story. Another 5 minutes, I'm reading through it and doing the breaths. 15 minutes, I'm reset. I'm ready to go. My nervous system is back to me. That story is gone. I have capacity to keep moving forward with my day and staying in flow.
I think that's so amazing. And what I love about it, and I think it's important to recognize and point out for people, is that you are releasing this rather than storing it down into your body and keeping it. And that's what a lot of happens for people. And, some of the modalities that I use is we're releasing the stored emotions and you're stopping it from actually even happening in the first place. Because so often when we just don't even address it and we just brush it off, and yeah, we could do some deep breathing, right? And we're not really becoming aware of what's going on or the issues or the emotions that are attached to that. And we just kind of stuff it down and move upon our day. We're actually storing it in our body and our meridians and our nervous system. And that's just going to pile up. It's going to explode later on or actually manifest in different ways like disease and ailments that we don't actually want. So I think it's such a beautiful tool for people to have. And so, yeah, definitely, I think your masterclass is going to be so impactful to help people get an idea about it, what it is, all the things, and, be able to work with you even on a deeper level to really address those things that are stopping your clients, the people that you serve, from experiencing love in such a beautiful and fulfilled way. So that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts, your modality, and how you serve others. I would like to ask you a final question. If there was like one piece of advice or wisdom to give to the listeners to carry throughout their day, what would that be?
Next time you're asked to do something, take a moment and pause for 3 breaths and really listen. And do you really want to do this? And if your initial feeling in that moment is no, say no. Thank you, Amanda, for taking care of me.
I love that. And I love that. And there's so much we can unpack there, right? Like about being able to not be like serving ourselves, right? Instead of always trying to serve others and what's best for us. And it's not an easy thing to get to, but I think with doing the work, you begin to, kind of understand if something doesn't serve me, it's coming, just from not even the place of love, right? And of course, you want to do things because you love people, but if it's not serving you, if it's not in alignment with you, you might actually be doing more harm for both people than actually doing it, wouldn't you say?
I mean, actually, it's a lie. I've thought about this a lot
Yeah.
about people pleasing. People think, and I've done it, that you're helping the other person's feelings. But if it's in fact not what you would normally do, then you're lying to them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
nobody wants to be lied to.
This is so true. But a big part of this, which I talked about in my past masterclass that I just did, the expansion experience, was can you say no without creating a lie? to cover for why you're not doing the thing, right? Like, can you just say no, thank you, or I can't, instead of coming up with an excuse that isn't true to save the hurt or the feelings or the guilt that you're feeling, right? How are you able to do that? Because I don't know about you, but I was always taught to just come up with an excuse or a reason and all the things. And I've done it for many years, but my new thing in the past years is just saying, no, thank you, I can't make it.
I think that takes a practice. And on the other side of that, one of the things from this certification I'm doing in celebrating wins is whenever people give you a compliment and say, and it doesn't matter if it's your hair looks great or I'm so impressed with whatever it is that I saw you do, that you just say, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
And count to 3 and receive it. But oftentimes people are so uncomfortable with that that we come back with, oh, well, it's not that great. I haven't even done anything to it. Or,
Right.
yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, I'm just here. And they belittle what they've done. And
Yeah.
it's the same way on the other side for like what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Such a good way to end this. Thank you so much, Amanda, for being my guest today on the Light Council series and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. I will share your links in the description so if people want to find you. What is the best way to get a hold of you, to get in touch with you if people are more interested in what you do and what your work and how to work with you?
Yeah, so they can find me on Instagram at Back to the Heart to Love Me. And I'll have and the podcast is Back to the Heart. So the podcast is available on Spotify and Apple or wherever you listen audio. And then on YouTube, I have the video, and you can definitely check out the episode if you haven't already with Elizabeth and I. It is amazing. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, so good. Yeah. And you can find it on my social media profiles as well. Our episode together is shared on there too. So thank you again. And we will see you next time on the Light Council series.